Good management, good leadership can help that, and I think no better man than Les Kiss at the helm to really preach the basics, work on the breakdown, work on the set piece, and build a solid foundation through your defence, which they did in the last few games. If they can maintain that level of accuracy in those areas, I think they have every chance to breaking Connacht's stronghold in the sports ground this year.
And I think listening to Les Kiss, he's expecting it to be pretty feisty up front today. That's where the game could be won or lost.
Well, that's where the derby comes into it, doesn't it? The local derby, you know, it always cranks up a little bit of fire and a bit of passion in the boys. But listen, Connacht have done brilliantly this season. You know, at home, as he said, haven't lost at home this season in all competitions. That takes some doing. So, you know, Ulster are going to have to really pull their socks up and sort of go another step further than what they've achieved in the last couple of weeks, I think, to come away from today with a scalp.
Is it about every week trying to pitch their level of performance the way they did in those Toulouse games and trying to do that on a regular basis?
Yeah, the last thing you want to do is have such a high and then sort of bring it down to a poor performance just because perhaps the level of opposition is lower or the competition, you know, isn't as glamorous. And as I said, that's when the leaders come in, the coaching staff, the guys will propel performances up to maintain that sort of level, because they've shown what they can do against Toulouse in the last two rounds of the European Cup. There's no reason why they can't repeat that, and Les Kiss and the team will be very disappointed if their level of performance drops. I
suppose after two big games like that, though, it's all about getting the mental attitude right, isn't it? Briefly, Andy.
Oh, it is, without a doubt. It's a top 6 inches in a physical game, and today this is what it's going to take. It's upstairs. If you're right upstairs, we're good.
OK, Andy, Paddy, thank you very much indeed. Connacht's only victory in their last 18 fixtures with Ulster was back in 2012, but most people expecting this one to be close. Time to join our commentary team, former Ireland coach Eddie O'Sullivan. But first, good evening and happy Christmas to Jim Neely.
And compliments of the season from the city of the tribe. Delighted to say, despite the awful rain which plagued our journey on the way down, things are fine here. There's been no rain worth talking about for the last couple of hours, but the pitch is a bit on the soft side on top, but it should be a pretty decent evening for running rugby, and that's been Ulster's watchword for the past couple of games. So from the heights of Europe back to not just the bread and butter, but the meat and two veg of the Guinness Pro 12, which is hugely important for both these sides in terms of qualification for Europe next year. Well, I can tell you that Ulster made some 4 changes from the game last week. Nick Williams starts in the back row, Andrew Warwick and Rob Herring in the front row, and Rory Scholes comes onto the wing. Connacht's
well, we seem to be having a few technical problems just with the cameras at the sports ground at the moment. The team's on their way out, as we saw. We've lost our cameras for the moment, but let's hope we can restore things in the next couple of minutes for you so that you won't miss a thing. But as I say, Andy, Paddy, we are expecting this game to be a close one today.
Very much. And you know what? The part that I like a really lot is the Ulster centres at the minute. The partnerships have been going in week out, and they seem to have got stronger and stronger in their continuity as a group. They all seem to be working a whole lot better together. Paddy Jackson's coming into a bit of form again, so the right guys are doing the right things.
OK, thank goodness. Here are the pictures, and you haven't missed a thing. It's back to Eddie and Jim.
The referee is Peter Fitzgibbon from Munster, refereeing his 65th Pro 12 game. He's an elite referee since 2009, and let's see if we get an elite performance from both these sides. And if you're of an Ulster supporting nature, then obviously you'll want the men in white to do that. Andrew Trimble took it forward, and Ruan Pienaar finds his fellow South African Robbie Dyer, capped twice for Ireland now. Pienaar capped 88 times for the Springboks. Puts a little teaser up for Trimble to chase. That's not a bad kick. Good jump by Trimble. Bounces awkwardly, scooped in by Ulster. Play on, says the referee. Paddy Jackson, a little bit of width on it, has been what Ulster have been doing all season. Luke Marshall rode the first tackle away to Scholes and into touch, and a lively start. And delighted to say, back from the surfing land of Biarritz, there's Eddie O'Sullivan. Not a bad day for a derby, Eddie.
Absolutely great, yeah. Really nice weather. The rain has cleared up, and from what we've seen, both teams looking to throw the ball around. A full house here on the sports ground, so looking forward to a good game.
It's always an intimidating place. In years gone by, coming here in the days of the old Inter Pros, you nearly thought, well, we'll pick up the points. That has long disappeared into the mists of the west of Ireland, hasn't it?
That's well and over now. It's a hard day's work here to get a result every time you come.
First line out. Dave Heffernan throws, well taken at the back by Connacht skipper, the redoubtable John Muldoon, playing his 201st league games. He's played more league games than anybody else in the competition, and that's just why Connacht have been having such a good season. They're playing very much as a team. It's the young open side flanker James Connolly takes it away. A little chip into space and well covered and gathered by Louis Ludic, but nice little dinky kick there by Jack Carty. Connacht competing well at the breakdown, and Peter Fitzgibbon gives the first penalty of this chilly evening to the home side.
Yeah, Ludic did well there, Jim, to collect that cross kick, well read, but Connacht had the momentum chasing up. The green shirts got in and power drove over the ball. Andrew Trimble did his best to assist, but I just think the numbers are against them and holding on. But it's an opportunity here for Connacht maybe to turn the screw early on Ulster.
Andrew Trimble may have had a case for thinking that there was a Connacht player blocked him from doing the clearing out.
Yeah,
Connacht, well, deciding not to go for the post, have gone for the line out. Ulster played 9-1-5, lost 4. Connacht have played 9-1-7, lost only 2, second in the table. And if you're just joining us, you may well know that the Ospreys have beaten the Scarlets at Parky Scarlets this afternoon. But it doesn't change the position in the table. Here go Connacht again. This is a terrific drive by the men in green. And Ulster starting to crumble, still there for young Connolly. Robbie Dyack gets in the way. Marmion. Jack Carty runs himself. Little pop pass yet again. This is great stuff from Connacht. What a start this would be if they could squeeze over for a try. Ali Muldowney, one of 12 personnel changes from last week's loss to the Newcastle Falcons. There's a bit of space out wide that maybe should have been given by Craig Ronaldson. Still there, Marmion, bit of support. Good defence yet again by Ulster. Stood them in good stead in 2 European games against Toulouse. Can they do something similar here against Connacht? Connolly just put back in his heels a little bit by some good Ulster defence. Referee seems to have the hand out, but he's playing advantage. Alan O'Connor puts the tackle in for Ulster under huge amount of pressure. Owen Masterson moved from the flank to number 8 for this week's game. Back in the Connacht side. Yes. Nicely presented. My word, they have been a transformed team under Pat Lam. Little kick. Where's that going to go? Knocked backwards into the dead ball area, and I think Peter Fitzgibbon is going to go back for the penalty.
Yeah, I think he will, because they knew that was a freebie and they ran out of steam, so they put it in the air. But interesting to see here, Jim, if Connacht, their last maul was pretty impressive. Rumbled Ulster well up the field. 5 metres out, you got to wonder if it crossed their mind. They may go for the maul. Still being discussed, I think.
Yeah, I think they're going to go into the corner. John Muldoon will be saying to Jack Carty, just pop it in somewhere between where you've got the ball and the corner flag. Well, listen to that roar from the crowd here in the sports ground in Galway. Capacity crowd, something in the region of about 6,000 here. And they've shortened the line out. At the back is tight head prop Nathan White, member of the Irish World Cup squad. Dave Heffernan, the 24-year-old, to throw. Well taken in by Muldowney. Here they go again. It's worked well for them. Ulster have got to be very careful. It's gone to ground, legally so. Muldowney offloads it to his skipper Muldoon, who's well held up by Stuart McCluskey.
Stay back.
Nice presentation by Connacht. Men over on the far side. Ulster get the drift defence working well.
Stay back, boys.
Marmion again pops it up to Ulton Gillan, or Dillon I should say. Marmion quickly away. Carty, cleverly done. Picked up by Paddy Jackson. And again Ulster relieve the pressure. Pienaar, Ludic, nicely done. Luke Marshall straight into the hands of Tiernan O'Halloran, who will run. Marshall makes the tackle. Ulster give the ball back to Connacht, however. Marmion. Now Carty, Ulster up quickly. There's a chance of an overlap here. This is Connolly. All they've got to do is move it. That's a high tackle by Rob Herring. Nicely taken on by Matt Healy, who's got loads of pace. What a great start by Connacht, still moving it forward. Ronaldson. Ulster up quickly. Bundy Aki gets it away to Masterson. Out wide to Adeolokun. Ronaldson at scrum half. Ali Muldowney has to check a little bit. The man on his left overran him slightly. Now Marmion, Carty, Tiernan O'Halloran. Chance gone, Eddie.
Yes, Connacht blew it there. I think that was a well-worked opportunity. But I think Ulster defended the first maul brilliantly. Did a great job. Connacht shifted the maul, got a head of steam up, and Ulster did it well. Then they worked really hard, won the turnover, and then a very loose kick by Luke Marshall. Connacht came roaring back again and almost scored. Twice at both corners, they had Ulster really stretched.
Well, a couple of semi-high tackles there, but play on. O'Halloran got it away, and Owen Masterson will not like looking at that one again, the young fella born in Port Alicia. So Ulster get their first put into the scrum, and it's the first scrum of the evening. 7 minutes gone. No score here at a wintry sports ground.
Number 8 on, please.
But the atmosphere is really boiling. Well, average weight of the Connacht pack is around 18 stones. Ulster over half a stone a man lighter. And it's not too often that Ulster are up against a side who's such a superiority in terms of poundage. Peter Fitzgibbon played his club rugby in Limerick with the Thomond Rugby Football Club. He's a referee development manager with the IRFU. Ron Pinar, who in successive European weeks won the Man of the Match award. Solid looking Ulster scrum. Nick Williams gets it away. McCluskey tries to step, just about gets outside Connolly and no more. He's made good ground. Pinar. Oh, Paddy Jackson got it away and no more. Good look by Luke Marshall. Wide to Andrew Trimble. A lot of adventure in Ulster's play here. Trimble puts it back inside to Louis Ludick, who's tackled into touch, and Connacht get the line out. Ulster trying to run the ball now. It's almost imperceptible, but there is a wee slope here at the sports ground, Eddie. You would know that better than anybody.
Yeah, it can be playing with or against the tide on certain days here, but certainly I thought Ulster were lucky there. Ball almost went loose. Could have been called for a forward pass. I'd like to think here, Jim, that Ulster would just steady the ship a little bit. They've given Connacht a lot of momentum, get ball in hand. Maybe it's better for Ulster to put the ball into the bleachers, start with the line out and build the defence again, and maybe slow the game down.
Full Connacht line out, taken at the front by John Muldoon. Connolly has the ball tucked in. Oh, steps all too easily inside Andrew Warwick. Tight forwards must make their tackles. Marmion. Connacht making good round. Marmion again. Carty. That's a clever kick and a nasty hanging tantalising effort. Knocked back by Ludick. And into touch. Did it come off a Connacht hand? It didn't. It's a Connacht line out. No, it's an Ulster line out.
Yeah, I think Ulster will take that. What we need to see Ulster now is get themselves out of their own half. They've been under the pump, Jim, for the first 9.5 minutes of the game. They've dealt well with it, but they've been lucky on a couple of occasions. So probably time for Ulster just to steady the ship here and spend some time in Connacht territory.
There's Nihi Adeolokun, 25-year-old from Nigeria. Spent 5 years studying at Dublin University, or Trinity College Dublin, as we used to call it. Rob Herring captaining Ulster for the 9th time this season. Bit untidy. Warwick pulls it in. Good pressure by Connacht. Sloppy line-out work by Ulster. Pinar is outside his 22. Connacht seemed to stray offside. Pinar's put just about the right amount of weight in that. Good tackle by Rory Scholes on Adeolokun. Marmion gets it away. Carty. Ali Muldowney. Sean Reedy gets him by the ankles. Carty, bit of zip in this one. Bundy Aki nearly got through. Ulster putting in a whole host of tackles. Good break by Finlay Beelum, the 24-year-old prop, born in Canberra, but he's nudged it forward. And Ulster get the scrum. I think for the first time in this game, Eddie, Ulster find themselves outside their 10-metre line.
Yeah, they're getting closer and closer to getting out of their own half for the first 10 minutes. But again, Ulster need to take care of that kick that was contestable, which they didn't win. They got a bit narrow on the kick chase, and you could see Connacht loading up out in the outside channels. If that ball went wider, it could have more problems for Ulster.
Peter Fitzgibbon having a little word with Ruan Pienaar. Pat Lam seems to be working on something on his laptop. What a wonderful player he was. He captained Samoa way back in 1996 when they beat Ireland at the old Lansdowne Road. Solid looking Ulster scrum. That's a good piece of positioning play. Here comes Pienaar. Move it wide to Rory Scholes, who's come off the left wing. He's well tackled though. Crowd complaining about something. Jackson moves it wide to Ludick. Bit more width on it. Robbie Dyack took it in. McCluskey will have a go, I'm sure. Away to Luke Marshall, who's dumped into touch. So Ulster's good defending is matched by Connacht in that respect.
Well, Connacht set up really well off the scrum, Jim, and they covered that attack down their left flank really, really well. Ulster had nowhere to go, and then Ulster went wide again from touchline to touchline. Connacht very comfortable again and won the turnover by putting a player into touch. You'd like to think Ulster need to be sensible around these outside channels now and not get pushed into touch so easily. It's a turnover, and the Connacht line has been operating well, so don't need to give Connacht these opportunities.
Heffernan throws, picked off by Ulster at the back. It's untidy though. Well done by Robbie Dyack, and up again by Robbie Dyack. Despite the attentions of Muldoon, he's made it available. Pienaar, Nick Williams. Cardiff bound at the end of this season. Jackson. Ulster into the Connacht half, at least the ball is, for the first time. Tiernan O'Halloran, not short of ambition. McCluskey tries to hold him up. It's come away on the Connacht side. Taken on by Bundy Aki. Marmion. Aki makes a bit of ground. Nathan White battling at the breakdown, and Stuart McCluskey trying to get through. Referee seems to be happy with that. Marmion right-footed. Gathered in well by Paddy Jackson. Good positional play by Ulster's number 10. It's O'Halloran. A winger's pace and a fullback's vision. Good tackle by Rob Herring, Ulster's captain. Marmion. Connacht trying to stretch Ulster wide. Reedy has to get across. Oh, nicely done by Connacht. This is good work down that far touchline. Marmion again. Great work by Ruan Pienaar. Disrupted his opposite number. Ball is out on the Connacht side. Aki again. First penalty of the evening to Ulster with 14 minutes gone.
Yeah, good work by Ulster. But again, they seem to be getting caught a little bit narrow in their defence, and Connacht have spotted that, and they're getting numbers into the outside channels. They have to work hard to contain Connacht, but when they got there, they did a pretty good job. But I think that's been a good first 15 minutes for Ulster, without the ball most of the time, defending in their own half. If they can kick on here, Jim, get a good field position and maybe get a score, it turns the whole dynamic of the game after all the work Connacht's put in.
Must be the only game in the world where you can actually have a good 15 minutes without the ball.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, but in fairness to Ulster, they've had to work hard. They've been unlucky or lucky a few times to hang in there, but you can't fault them for effort. But I'd like to see the Ulster defence a little bit wider, giving themselves a lot of work to do on the outside channels. But a chance here for Ulster to make a statement for the first opportunity to attack with the ball.
Well, we've seen them inside the Connacht half for the first time. Now they're inside the Connacht 22 for the first time. Full line out. Pienaar takes it nicely. Bit of a loopy pass there, not like him at all. Well set up though by McCluskey. Pienaar again. Robbie Dyack, who's had two very good weekends of European rugby behind him. Again, Pienaar. Jackson. Louis Ludick nearly found a gap. Just got past Ronaldson and no more. Pienaar again. Franco van der Merwe has had another couple of good games in Europe as well. Pienaar looking to change direction. Rory Scholes back inside to Luke Marshall. Wee bit of adventure here from Ulster. Pienaar again. Nice little slip pass. Ulster making some decent ground on the far side. Connacht might just have turned that one over, and they've got the penalty anyway. So very good work at the breakdown. And guess who? John Muldoon.
Yeah, great work by Connacht. You saw that inside pass to Marshall, reminiscent of the winning try in Toulouse. But in fairness, Connacht had their homework done. But again, you know, Ulster again showed a bit of ambition here, but Connacht didn't really get trouble. They had good shape on their defence and eventually won the turnover in the outside channel. That's the second penalty Ulster have conceded in their outside channel.
Sean Reedy was there pretty quickly for Ulster, likewise Vian Herbst, but John Muldoon just sneaked in ahead of the pair of them. And that's well cleared by Connacht. Still inside the first quarter of this game, no score. Connacht have won only once in the last 18 games between these two sides, way back in April 2012. Heffernan. Masterson won it. Aki gets across his 10-metre line. Marmion. Nice kick. Great take by Trimble. He was taken out in the air.
Time off.
A bit naughty.
I've got it. Go away.
Now, Nick Williams should not get himself involved because Ulster have got the penalty. And I know tempers start to get up, and Paddy Jackson just being the arbiter there, saying it just calm it down.
Yeah, just have a look, Winnie.
Yeah.
I think it's just a penalty.
Okay.
You think it's more like
we'll have a look.
Time off. Just wait here.
Peter Fitzgibbon wants to have a look on the big
11.
screen, and he's asked the
Just wait
TMO
here, please.
Jude Quinn to have another look at that. Well, Andrew Trimble landed on his backside and his back. Had it been on his neck or shoulder, that would have been a yellow card.
Okay, Fitzy,
I think
have
it's
you
just going to be a
that?
penalty.
Yeah, look, for me,
I think
just not a
it's
genuine
lucky it's not a
attempt to
yellow
go for the
card. It
ball.
was
Yeah,
a
he
pretty
was just
reckless
careless.
challenge. I mean,
Just
he was
had-
never going to
just
get the ball, and
Yes.
he did
I
dive
don't
in.
think there's an intent to
Let's hear what
take
it's
the
saying.
player out. So, and he has landed on his back.
Yes, it's a timing issue.
It's a timing issue rather than an intentional. So I'm going
Correct.
to go just penalty this time. Okay, I'm warning the player.
Yeah, he's just going to go for a penalty. Fair enough.
Okay,
Yeah,
no,
it was.
you can go anyway.
I think
don't
it
need
could
you.
have. I've seen us go yellow,
Okay,
but I
it's
think
timing
the
issue.
referee is
Okay.
right here.
You must go for the ball if you're going up in the air, okay? Better judgment the next time, just a penalty.
There was no
Healy has
intent,
been, yeah, Matt Healy's been told
but it
off.
was a pretty reckless thing to do. He was never getting the ball.
And as we said, that Andrew Trimble landed in his back or his backside as opposed to his head or neck, which would have made it entirely different. And there was no intent there, according to the officials. So Ulster will be mighty relieved to get the penalty. The clock starts again. 17 minutes played here, and the sports ground in Galway. Paddy Jackson playing his 7th consecutive game of this season with Ruan Pienaar. Andrew Trimble playing his 199th game for Ulster. It'll be game number 200 against Munster next week. The referees asked them to do that again.
On your ball, don't put your hand across the space. Maintain the gap to the ball is thrown. It's your job now at the front.
Connacht player putting his hand into the space, which he's not allowed to do before the ball was thrown. Just as well, because Rob Herring overthrew it slightly. Connacht came thundering through, but Connacht have knocked that one on. Down goes Beelum. Robbie Dack at scrum half. Ulster across the 10-metre line.
Just a pile up, lads.
They may go back.
Just knock down in the line out.
They go back for the original knock-on. Connacht making nuisance of themselves out of touch.
They are indeed. I mean, the Ulster liner has been looking a bit, I suppose, uncomfortable is the best word for it. You know, they've won the ball, but it hasn't been the best delivery, and that's it's a pity because it's very hard to build a cohesive attack when the liner stutters like that. But they've a good scrum opportunity here, Jim, from the ensuing knock-on.
Yeah, just step in.
Alan
Just step in for
O'Connor,
that little bit of
the
background
bewhiskered
fine here.
chap, packing down in the second row with Franco van der Merwe for the 3rd game in a row. Played no part in early season, came on as replacement against Edinburgh for the injured Dan Toohey, who's going to be out for some time.
Crouch. No. Bind. Set.
That extra Connacht poundage has made a wee bit of a difference, and they've got themselves the penalty at scrum time, and they'll be delighted with that. And Craig Ronaldson runs in and gives his front row a pat.
I'm not sure what the penalty was for. I mean,
I think
there
it
was
might
the
have been
initial
the
surge.
touch judge on the far side, Eddie Hogan O'Connell, who called something. Finlay Beelum up against Vian Herbst. It may well have been something that Herbst did. Certainly on the Ulster loosehead side, Andrew Warwick seemed fine. This is another look at it. In it goes. Well, that looks all right on this side. Unless Ulster were deliberately trying to pull it round or coming up out of the scrum.
It's very unusual for a penalty at a scrum that doesn't collapse. And Ulster had absorbed the shunt from Connacht and seemed to have the ball under control.
Connacht close to Ulster's 22. The line hard to make out, but trust me. Heffernan. Delan moving around. Well taken by Masterson. Carty is a little bit on the static side. Ali Muldowney tries to make some ground and does well. Carty switches. Knocked forward and kicked into touch. Ulster scrummage.
Yeah, I think at the moment the game has got a wee bit scrappy the last couple of minutes. Connacht dominated the first 15 minutes. Ulster came back, had a good 5 minutes, but could create nothing. And again, goes back in Connacht's favour with the penalty, and they just put the ball on the ground. So we're back to a scrum again. I'm still a bit puzzled by the last scrum, so I don't know what that was for. We'll see if this one is similar. But again, you're looking at Ulster trying to get out of their half here and get far away from the post as they can. And let's see how they exit here.
And two of Ulster's 3 forward changes have come in the front row. Rob Herring in for the rested Rory Best. Andrew Warwick in for the injured Kyle McCall. Well, the scrum's gone down on the far side again.
What's the issue, Ed, or do we have one?
Foreign games between Finlay Beelum and Vian Herbst.
Yeah. Come on over here, lads.
The Australian against the South African.
Yeah.
And the referee's gone round to the Ulster tight head side to have a wee look.
You don't lose your footing, yeah? Head and shoulders. Nice and high for you.
Well, he seems to have adjudicated that it was just a loss of footing rather than anything illegal.
I think that's
down.
good, Jimmy, because there's been a lot of rain here today and it's not that solid underfoot, so he's got to factor that in his equation of making decisions.
Crouch! Bind! Set!
And this time the penalty goes against Connacht.
Hinging down. Your head and shoulders gone down.
Finlay Beelum on the far side was hinging, his head and shoulders going below hip level.
That's when he doesn't take the pressure coming through, he falls down and the other prop has to fall down, so it's one that can go either way, because the Ulster prop on the ground, you sometimes think that's going over against Ulster, but it's good refereeing. If he did not take the pressure and hinge down, then that's a penalty against Connacht.
Luke's head hinging down, feet underneath him a bit more, he'll stay up.
Peter Fitzgibbon saying to John Muldoon that his loose head was hinging down, leaves his feet underneath him and he may stay up. Paddy Jackson has put in a good kick. Ulster inside Connacht's 10-metre line by 6 or 7 metres. Well taken. McCluskey getting no change out of Connacht's defence. Pienaar again. Jackson. Robinson up quickly. My word, Pat Lam, is this Connacht defence organised in mighty fashion.
You okay?
Pienaar. Good work by Sean Reedy. Pienaar again. Luke Marshall. Off to Alan O'Connor. Still there for Ulster. Better stuff from the men in white. Jackson. Marshall again. Well done by Marshall. Took a nice little slip pass from Jackson. Pienaar and Jackson and Nick Williams. He's kept possession. Jackson. Trimble from the right wing. Has a go himself. Pienaar. Robbie Dyack. Taken well by Nathan White. Pienaar again. Ludick has to stretch under a little bit of pressure now from the Connacht defence. Ulster get a penalty, and it looks as if it might be within Paddy Jackson's range, so all that effort and all that defensive work for Ulster and all that patience might just have paid off. Taken quickly by Pienaar, however. Well, not one of Rowan Pienaar's better decisions, I would suggest, and Andrew Trimble was not expecting that, I don't think.
I was just going to say, it could be one of those nights where it's going to be the team that makes the least number of mistakes, and Connacht made a very foolish error there at their work. Their defence was completely in control, the shape was good, and they give away a foolish penalty, which seems within kicking range, and you're thinking 3 points for Ulster, and you know that the night is going to be tight on the scoreboard. Could be a big difference, and surprised Pienaar's experience there. He must have seen something he thought was on, but he certainly did deliver the pass to Andrew Trimble, and we have a turnover on the back of it.
Coming up to 25 minutes played, still no score. First scrum of the evening to Connacht. Nathan White, now capped 8 times by Ireland on this side, the 34-year-old from Hawera in New Zealand. Big lump of a man, 19 stones. Ronaldson, who can play outside half and does play outside half. Ludic waits, is a wee bit too far perhaps. Ludic. Connacht have made some 50-odd metres from that one. Pinar. Bit of stretch there. What a tackle, and Robbie Dyack.
It was a thumping tackle if I've ever seen one, and Dyack did well to get the ball out of the tackle, but he was going backwards so quickly he went forward. And the other kind of, what they call energizers, Jim, can lift the team and lift the crowd, and certainly Dyack was got man and ball there.
And it was the smallest man on the Connacht side.
Yeah, by Marmion.
Kieran Marmion, another.
He's a feisty player, yeah, for sure.
One of only 3 Irish internationals on this Connacht side. Ulster, well, not as many as they might have. They've got 7 in the starting lineup and 2 more on the bench. But missing from this Ulster lineup, names like Bowe and Payne and Cave, Gilroy, Nelson, Henderson, Best, McCall, Toohey, Henry.
Crouch. Bind. Set.
Second scrum in a row for Connacht. Looks pretty solid. Good control by Masterson. That was a bit loopy. Ronaldson. That's gone forward just as well. Ulster made a real hames of that. That should have been walloped down the field.
Yeah, it was well read by the defence, but once the ball broke loose, you fancied Ulster hacked it upfield and a try-scoring opportunity. Yeah, great read by Luke Marshall, got man and ball, and almost created a chance, but the fly hack was missed, and we're back for another scrum.
The funny thing that Rory Scholes will not be included in Michael O'Neill's Northern Ireland team for the forthcoming European Championship.
Well, let's put it this way, his first touch left him down there, Jim.
It happens. Well, still no score, and coming up to half an hour played. And in terms of possession and territory, it's been mostly Connacht. Must have had the odd rare incursion into Connacht territory, but have made nothing of it. A great season Pat Lamb's side is having. They've won 11 of their 14 competitive games played. Nick Williams switches direction nicely. Jackson with a bit of zip. Well away to Marshall. It's a good tackle by Adia Loken. Still there for Ulster. Dyack. Pinar. I don't know what Van der Merwe was doing, but he's managed to get it away, and it's still there for Ulster, but they're on the retreat.
Okay, thank you, David. Sorry, I thought it was backwards. It's knocked on for us.
And knocked on by Ulster. Well, Connacht in Ulster's faces with a vengeance, and Ulster trying one or two things when maybe sort of pragmatism might be the word.
Yeah, it's a bit risky, those semi-offloads when there's pressure coming on. But I think what you're seeing at the moment is defence are dominating. The Connacht defence has been good, the Ulster defence has been good, and we're seeing players now, note that the confidence in both defences is up there. Players are making reads and coming out of the line trying to get man and ball. We've seen both sides do it, and it seems to be working. This is why we've got all these scrums, because the pressure on the receiver, knock on, you go back for the scrum, and both defences at the moment are actually dominating. It's probably a game for those more interested in defensive rather than attacking rugby.
Just inside their own half, the scrum for Connacht and split their forces. 3 on either side. So which way will they go, assuming they win the scrum, which they have done? Masterson leaves it for Marmion, goes to his left. Ronaldson.
He stopped. Okay.
Well taken by Louis Ludic. Couldn't make the mark of the fair catch because he was outside of 22, and also give away the penalty.
Yeah, from the well taken by Ludic, but again, support didn't get there in time, and Connacht got over the ball, and I think Connacht will look and take the 3 points here. They want to go for the corner like they did earlier in the game, because of the way this game is going, it looks like it's going to be a very tight game, and maybe won by the kickers at the end of it, because both defences are dominant. And even the sign of that there is Connacht using the up and under, the cross kick, to try and gain territory on the ball.
Well, Connacht have asked Craig Ronaldson, who scored 144 points in his 21 league appearances, close to 80% success rate this season with his kicking in this competition. He's a left-footed kicker, so it's probably the wrong side of the field for him. There's a wee bit of a wind, but if there is a bit of a wind, it's in his favour. This would give Connacht and the crowd here in Galway a considerable boost.
No!
He hasn't made it. Well, 3 points gone a-begging, and as you said, Eddie, you've got to take your chances in games like this when you know they're going to be as tight as it possibly can be.
Well, Ulster are off to a kick tap there, Jim.
Paddy Jackson gets it away from McCluskey. Out to Scholes. Nicely done by Scholes. He's kept that in field. Marmion and O'Halloran go back, and it's gone into touch. It's going to be a Connacht line out. But what a good piece of play between Paddy Jackson and Rory Scholes. And there's a wee bit of niggle there. Niggle there, or is it needle? The combination of both of them. Niggle.
Both, yeah.
It's a new word.
I think Scholes didn't need to get involved there. It wasn't a Ulster line out.
15 green, please.
O'Halloran's balling. He tried to prevent him throwing it in.
He's going to have a word with Tiernan O'Halloran.
Whistle goes away. Okay, it's a tight game. Yellow card for each vehicle could cost your team the match. Okay, so just get on with it, forget that stuff. Let's play, line up.
It's good refereeing by Peter Fitzgibbon, giving him a bit of a slap in the wrist.
That's always necessary there, you know. It's just there's been no niggle so far, and it's good to stamp it out before it creeps in anywhere.
Rory Scholes starting his 4th game of this season for Ulster. This is Dave Heffernan into a shortened Connacht line. Now 5 men in it, but plenty of options in terms of jumpers. Now stolen by Ulster, nicely done by Franco van der Merwe. He read it well and then he's lost it. How did that happen? But he lost it because of some interference. And a Connacht hand was in there after the ball was caught.
Good refereeing by the assistant referee. That Peter, the referee
Phillips on this side, yep.
Yeah, watch those hands on the side here for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Connacht came through. He was interfered with before he got to the ground. And this gives Paddy Jackson, having watched Craig Ronaldson miss just about a couple of minutes ago, a chance perhaps against the run of play to give Ulster a lead.
Yeah, on the balance of it, Jim, I think Connacht have had most opportunities, most territory, probably more possession, and they've had a chance there, missed it. These tend to bounce back and bite you on the backside, and Jackson a chance here to get the score on the board, to open the scoring after 33 minutes almost. Hard to believe.
It's Paddy Jackson's 65th league game for his province, and he scored over 410 points, including 7 tries. Needs to nail this one though. That looks pretty decent.
Yes.
That's a good kick from Paddy Jackson, and with a game as tight as this, they all count. So the first score of this game goes to Ulster, who are 3 points to 0 up with about 6 minutes to go to half-time.
Yeah, I think it's probably even, Stephen. I think Ulster will be happy with that 3-point lead. They haven't edged us so far in terms of territory and possession, but you've got to give them credit. They've had a chance, they've taken it.
Carty seemed to hurt himself in that kick-off taken in by Franco van der Merwe. Pienaar, Robbie Dyack, Jackson nicely done, Ludick, McCluskey. Taken by Aki. Pienaar, Jackson.
Hold.
It's going to hang a little bit. Underneath it is Connacht skipper John Muldoon. A little bit of blocking there, I think, by Dave Heffernan. Referee let it go. Well away. Carty changes direction. That's a clever kick. Was that knocked forward? Play on, says the referee. Rory Scholes just about gets away with that and no more. It's been a rather nervy start by him.
Yeah, I think
the crowd thought it was a knock-on, but Connacht will be happy with the line-out, actually.
Yeah, it makes no difference at the end of it. Well, the line-out instead of a scrum, but I think it may have come off his hand. I've seen those called for a knock-on, but Connacht still a field position and possession, so it's a wash at the end of the day.
It's time off. No more huddles. You huddle again, it's going to be free kick. Yeah. You must form the line out quicker. Time on.
Peter Fitzgibbon telling the Connacht skipper John Muldoon he doesn't want to see any more huddles and to form the line out quicker. Here goes Heffernan. Well done by Delan. Taken by Aki. Runs into one of his own players. Referee's happy enough, not an accidental offside. Ali Muldowney, and again a bit of blocking there by Masterson. Adeoloken, blisteringly fast but well wrapped up by Ulster. Andrew Trimble in there as well to help Louis Ludic. Connacht up to the Ulster 22 and give away the penalty.
Great work.
It's not working for Connacht, Eddie, is it?
No, I mean they're holding onto the ball and they're playing with a lot of width, but you got to give Ulster credit for defending well. They're working hard around the corner, and when they see the opportunities, they're getting right into those rucks. So at the moment, we're seeing a game that's dominated by defences on both sides. So it's really about working hard and there again in over the ball and win the penalty at the breakdown. So it's probably from the perspective of a game of rugby, it's very stop-start because it's many defences who are winning the tactics of it.
Once again, a good strike by Paddy Jackson. Well, Peter Fitzgibbon is being very consistent. He told John Muldoon off for spending too much time in the huddle, and he's told Rob Herring, Ulster skipper, something similar. Great take by O'Connor. Jackson, McCluskey across the halfway line. Pienaar.
No rock tackle only.
Nick Williams gets it away nicely. Now Ludic, now Scholes into touch. Good adventurous stuff by Ulster, but equally good defence by Connacht.
Yeah, again, it's exactly the same situation earlier. Scholes tackle into touch, put it around the corner, but the cover defence getting him, and that's a turnover again. A promising situation, coming to nothing.
Good covering back by Nihi Adeoloken.
Number up. Many boys. 5 men.
Well taken by Oton Delan for Connacht.
Don't do anything, just stay there. Hold, winger, hold. Hold on, that's fine.
Marmion. Well taken by Scholes. That's great work by Scholes. Well, he's thrown that away, but it's pulled in by loose head prop Andrew Warwick. Pienaar. Nick Williams. Powerful drive by Williams. Pienaar again. Ludic. Little slip pass to Alan O'Connor. Here's Warwick in support. Pienaar in quickly. Van der Merwe runs into Finlay Beelum. Jackson. That's a nice pass. Trimble. McCluskey, strong as ever, but good Connacht covering defence. They may just have turned that one over, but the penalty's been given. Crowd do not like Peter Fitzgibbon at this moment.
Well, I think any penalty gives side against Connacht, he's not going to get much support from the crowd. But it's interesting here in the replay. Again, Ulster there are numbers, but off his feet, drove in and lost his feet around the ball. So I think it was Matt Healy.
Or was it Craig Ronaldson?
Craig Ronaldson, sorry, yeah. Ronaldson off his feet, yeah. So it's definitely a penalty. Good refereeing call.
And McCluskey did the right thing, having been tackled. He went to ground and he released the ball. So the Connacht players had to stay legal and they didn't. 2 minutes to go to half-time, just the 3 points between them. Good attacking position this for Ulster. That didn't look altogether straight. Well, they've made a real mess of that. Aki. This is out O'Halloran. Not deliberately, I don't think. That's gone into touch. Ulster thought it might have been kicked from outside the 22.
Eddie, the line-up was inside, am I right? Yes, line-up was inside the 22.
So it is still going to be an Ulster line-out. They need to get this one a little bit better than the last one. Ulster doing the huddle. Referee is going to be cross to them if they don't hurry up. That was just outside and no more. 5 men on the Ulster line. Warwick at the front, Herbst at the back. Well taken by Robbie Dyack, who's had a terrific sequence in the last few weeks.
Still on. Over now.
Line out, according to the referee, is over. Pienaar may think about the kick. Got the feet in that kicking position. Scholes with the chase, needs to dive, and he does. Good work by Scholes. Pienaar, Nick Williams, gone backward. Tidied up by McCluskey. Pienaar, men on this side if they can move it. Jackson, Robbie Dyack. Scholes back inside. Still there for Ulster. 20 seconds remaining. Jackson. It looks as if that ball is normal, sure handling ball men. Can't get it away. Here comes Louis Ludock. Pienaar looking to see what's available. Franco van der Merwe. We played 40 minutes. Nick Williams, bludgeoning run, needs to keep possession, and he does. Pienaar quickly.
Penalty, lads. We're taking players out of the side. They're not involved.
Ulster taking men out at the side when they're not involved. They've got the penalty.
It's a very rare call, that outrighting call, taking players off the side of rucks, but
It's half time now.
the one time Ulster seemed to have a little bit of momentum in this whole first half, and comes to nothing.
And it's the Connacht outside half, Jack Carty, who pops it into touch. It was always going to be tight, Eddie, but we didn't think it would be like this. Just 3 points scored.
Yeah, and probably, I suppose, the end of the day, it's, as I said, it's been dominated by both defences, both sides not really making any inroads with the ball, and a lot of stop-start with scrums, and I think chances are going to be few and far between tonight.
Not much in the way of wind. I mean, you could argue that Connacht might have it and Ulster might have it in the second half, but it's not really a factor, is it?
Conditions aren't a factor. The ground is slippery underfoot, but this time of year, what do you expect? Also, the ball a little bit greasy, but again, we're in the middle of winter, but no reason for the game the way it's going. But I think it's a defensive game at the moment, Jim.
Half time here in Galway. It's Connacht 0 and Ulster 3.
Well, it's been competitive, it's been close, but Andy Ward, Paddy Wallace, it has not been a classic.
No, it's one you'll probably you wish you'd kept your turkey dinner going, wouldn't it? But it's always going to be like that a wee bit. You know, these derbies can either go one way or the other, a bit of a fest, or what we're seeing right now. But it's purely down to the defence at the minute. The team who cracks under the most pressure is probably going to be the one who loses.
Yes, if you're a rugby fan who likes watching defensive rugby, it's been all for you this Boxing Day.
Yeah, I mean, there's been plenty of endeavour in terms of how Ulster have tried to play. I think they played with tempo, they played with width on the ball as well, but the conditions are tough to play that style of rugby. Some of their basics are letting them down, some passes are going behind the man. Connacht have been very, very competitive at the breakdown as well. I'm very impressed with their outside backs. As soon as they sniff an opportunity in those wide channels, they plough in, and they've created some turnovers from that, some penalties. And yeah, it's been a bit of an arm wrestle so far. Yeah,
I mean, let's take a look at the breakdown, because the penalty count at the breakdown has been fairly even, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's been fairly even. I think both sides are very, it's been very combative at this point here. This was the initial sort of surge. We thought, this is going to set the stall out for the rest of the match. But Connacht, the first 10 minutes or so were just on fire. They were just absolutely going after everything, harassing everything out of Ulster, putting the pressure on. When pressure comes in, the mistakes start coming, that bad tackling, kicking out of hand and so forth. But if you just watch Connacht here, they really go after things and push hard. You can't shoot the line like Franco did there. That's just bread and butter to these professional players now. They see that leaves a gap, and what it's created is just a wide channel. And we're just in, and you can just see the way Connacht are really up for this game, and they're going in and full commitment by them. So it's a tough day. We're going to make those shoot-up tackles. We've got to get ball and all, and it's just we're very, very fortunate a little later on here that we didn't concede a try.
Yeah, I mean, this early Connacht pressure, Ulster did well to withstand it, Paddy, didn't they?
They did, yeah, and Connacht are trying to get off the line. They're targeting first, second receivers, trying to put them under as much pressure as they can, and it has paid off for them. You can see there a dominant scrum from Connacht as well. They've actually turned down a few shots at goal early in that first half, and they backed their maul, which was very strong. But to be fair to Ulster, they showed stout defence to hold them out and nil them for that first half.
You got to fight fire with fire in these combat games, and Connacht come out firing at all cylinders. And I think Ulster a little bit taken aback on the back foot, a touch, but you got to throw it back. you've got to give it back tenfold. And Ulster took about 15-20 minutes to get into this game.
Do you think it was sensible when a game is so close for Ulster to turn down 2 very kickable penalties when this could come down to one kick here or there?
Yeah, I'm a big believer in keeping the scoreboard ticking over, and you know, both sides on this occasion, you know, Connacht could be, you know, 9-3 up here easily, quite easily, you know.
Hindsight's, you know, it's every commentator's best friend, but you know, it worked for them against Toulouse in that home game. Ruan turned down points. He tapped and went. He created that momentum that led to scores eventually. So on this occasion, Andrew Trimble just wasn't reading off the same hymn sheet, and unfortunately we turned the ball over. Yeah, those points may come in crucial. Hopefully they won't.
Let's take a closer look at the breakdown, which, as Les Kiss said before the game, it was going to be interesting just to see the referee's interpretation today.
Very much so. You know, it's a technical area here, you know, and staying on your feet and cleaning guys out the right way, you know. And for me, the first half so far, I just think Ulster have probably been second best at this at a lot of the situations here, you know, and even though the one at here, we're just slow at getting to that ball carry, you know. Ulster we're almost watching our player go to ground and then reacting. When you watch the Connacht guys, they seem to be reacting as the ball's going to ground.
They're picking the right rucks to plow into and compete at.
This is a good situation here when he goes in. If you watch Andrew Trimble with 2 steps off that ruck, we know what's happening in that situation. We're going to get 2 steps further forward, in which case we're on it.
But Ulster seemed to get a bit more joy as the half went on.
The half went on, yeah, for sure, and you know, an example here again, isolated in that outside channel, Connacht plow in and take Andrew Trimble off. Very unlucky, I think, for
Connacht,
exactly. Ulster to win that penalty, because I think it was legitimate. He's driving on the guy. Whenever he goes to ground, it's after he's rucked that guy clear off the ball. So unfortunate for Connacht there.
What have you made of the Connacht defence tonight? I mean, they're out of the lines very quickly, aren't they?
Very much so. I think they're brilliant. You know, that's kept them in the game, and for me, if they keep that sort of level of performance going, they'll probably win the game, because they're just so in your face. These are big guys. McCluskey, you know, he's been a handful in most games this season. He's been shunted back 8 or 9 metres. You know, they're just really pushing hard. But if you can see there, all the Ulster players have to come back to get back in the game, whereas, you know, we're not making the gain line and so forth. You know?
Are they living on the wrong side of the offside line, do you think?
Oh, well, you know, they can only play what the referee's giving them, and they're doing a good job
because
of that.
They're coming up so fast. That's brilliant. Look at that. That's class.
They have obviously done their analysis on Ulster very, very closely, because they're getting into that first receiver's hands. They're not buying the dummy runners going behind with the ball going behind to Jackson. They're pressurising Jackson. They're pressurising the second receiver as well, and not making it comfortable for Ulster to play into those wide areas.
One really meaningful Ulster attack in that first half from right deep inside their own territory.
Yeah, it was against the run of play, but that's the way Ulster have been playing. Absolutely fantastic. Not a lot of space to work with. Great option there. Kick it. The fullbacks all over the shop. So just unlucky with the bounce here.
And shows Ulster's intent. I like the way that, you know, it was a 22 drop out. They took the quick tap and they exploited what Connacht essentially were giving them. They took the space that was on offer and they executed well, and it turned into a 60-70 metre gain.
And I suppose it's all about keeping the home team quiet. Ulster are in with that advantage at half time.
Very much so. You know, we could have been a couple more points up had we taken some. Ruan took a little bit of a dopey penalty take, and that could be another 3 points. But as you say, you know, it's keeping the home side a little quieter. You know, they've gone and they've thrown everything but the kitchen sink at Ulster at the minute, and haven't really come away with as much as they probably would have liked. So Ulster, you know, they're well within this game, and I think if they can just persevere, weather the storm, fight a bit more fire with fire in the second half, we could be okay.
Okay, more chat in a moment. But first, the festive spirit was not lost at Ulster Rugby this year. Players took to the streets in Belfast to hand out some surprise gifts to fans and to Christmas shoppers.
That was a bit of fun. It's nice for us as players to get out and meet up with a few of the supporters in town here. They're all, I mean, it's crazy how busy it is, so it's nice to go out and say hello to them and hand out a few gifts as well, which is good.
Yeah.
Oh, Leeds!
Yes.
There you go, that's what I like to see. I think the last couple of weeks have been brilliant. Everybody is getting fully behind the team. I think that from a squad perspective, Since Les has come in, I think that there's a huge bit of excitement around the squad. He's come in, he seems to really have picked everybody up, and I think certainly over the last 3-4 weeks, the rugby that we're playing, we're looking dangerous, we're trying to attack teams, and hopefully we can kick on over the kind of festive period with a couple of big games coming up. So yeah, it's a good place to be. Ulster are going well, and hopefully we can keep it going.
It's great to see the guys going so well, everyone putting their hands up, and there's some fierce competition there. It'll be difficult enough to get back into the team, but we'll give it a go. I knew the time scale the whole time, so I was preparing myself for that, and that hasn't changed. I think this is one of the rare occasions where I get to enjoy my Christmas and spend a bit of time with friends and family, which is different from the previous years. And having games on Boxing Day and training all the way up until Christmas Eve. So no, I'll say I'll have a good time and just put the feet up and relax.
Fans definitely they're loving what the guys have done the last few weeks, and I think it's really generated some positive news about Ulster, so it's good. It's been along 2 months now, but I'm back running last week, and I did a bit of running this morning, so step by step I'm slowly getting there, and hopefully in a few more weeks I might be ready to play.
Come on now, for 2 tickets to the next match. But you can give them to someone as a present. I'm going to be able to enjoy my turkey this year and not be worried about trying to stay off it for the big game the next day. But you know, hopefully, the recovery's coming on well, but it's just taking a bit of time. So I'll enjoy myself this Christmas and look forward to the New Year, and hopefully be back on the pitch soon enough. Fair play. Come on, that's you. Well done, man. It's like 2 minutes.
The Christmas shopper's a lot fitter than a lot of the Ulster players at the moment. It'll be almost like getting a lot of new signings back in 2016, won't it?
That'd be fantastic, you know, if they all come back and not take too long to hit the ground.
The Christmas shopper's a lot fitter than a lot of the Ulster players at the moment. It'll be almost like getting a lot of new signings back in 2016, won't it?
That'd be fantastic, you know, if they all come back and not take too long to hit the ground running. It'll be superb, but it's the nature of the beast, unfortunately. You know, the game's got bigger and stronger, and the players are bigger and stronger, and consequently the injuries seem to be a lot more long-term.
One slightly controversial moment in the first half, Paddy, the challenge on Andrew Trimble. Did you think this deserved to be yellow?
Yeah, I do, actually. I mean, it's just Andrew Trimble's far too honest, I would say, because he's gone up, he's been clattered in the air, he's landed on his hip. If he stays down, like many players are doing nowadays, and feigns an injury, I think the referee goes to his pocket there for a yellow card. It's reckless. He's not looking at the ball, he plows into Andrew in a dangerous situation, and you know,
is it fair to say we've seen reds given for that kind of challenge?
I mean, that is no worse than the Jared Payne scenario against Saracens at home a couple of seasons ago. For me, you know, if you watch that slow motion, you can see the opposition coming straight through. He was watching the ball for a good period, but with 5 metres to go, he's travelling from a long ways out. He completely takes his eye off the ball and knows where he's going and what he's potentially doing.
Yeah. Where will this game be won and lost in the second half, do you think, Paddy?
I hope it'll be Ulster's fitness. They've played with pretty good tempo in that first half. Connacht's defence has been stout and resolute, and hopefully come sort of 60 minutes you'll see Ulster's fitness coming through, which they really back, and Connacht will hopefully be tired, and those gaps that aren't there at the moment will be created, and hopefully Ulster can get across the game line a bit easier to create those try-scoring opportunities.
Yeah, what is going to be the key to getting past that Connacht defence this evening?
Lack of mistakes, and just staying true to what we're trying to create and get at. You know, obviously in the first half we're trying to go nice and wide. We've got to clean those rucks. We've got to get those rucks nice and quickly, clean that ball, get it out, and just get our big ball carriers on it. And as Paddy says, you know, see the fitness hopefully come through, because in the last 5 minutes of that first half, you could see Connacht weren't pushing as hard as they perhaps were in the first 25 minutes. So it'll take its toll.
You fancy Ulster to do it, Paddy?
Yeah, I do. I think they're in a good position at the moment. The confidence of the last 2 weeks will do them no harm as well. And yeah, I don't think Connacht have been in quite an arm wrestle at home in Galway. So Ulster have huge confidence going down there that they can come away with the victory. Fingers crossed.
OK, Paddy, Andy, thank you very much indeed. It's back to our commentary team, Eddie O'Sullivan and Jim Neely.
Well, the temperature here in Galway hasn't gone up any since you were last with us here at the sports ground, but the atmosphere is really starting to build up. It couldn't really be much closer. It's Connacht 0, Ulster 3 at half-time. Joe Smith, the Irish coach, is here watching, casting a very interested eye over one or two players, I'm pretty sure, with the Six Nations just around the corner. He's due to name a squad in the not-too-distant future, and that'll obviously be culled back on a week-to-week basis. Peter Fitzgibbon just checks with his watch, and Paddy Jackson, who scored the only points of the first half, gets the second underway. Taken in straight away by the Connacht skipper, John Muldoon. What a performer he has been for his beloved Munster down the years. 3 Irish caps, 11 caps for the Wolfhounds. And this is 201st game in the league for Connacht. Ulster steal it. Ludick gets it away. Nicely done. Jackson. McCluskey has a little look at Jackson again and tries to get inside Bundy Aki. Pinar. Taken on by Ulster's open side, Sean Reedy. Pinar again. Lively start. Luke Marshall. Now Ludick, who's popped up from nowhere. Good fend by the South African. Helped by his captain. Now Pinar. Jackson. Good footwork by Robbie Dyack and good support by Franco van der Merwe. And the Connacht crowd will think good refereeing by Peter Fitzgibbon, because Robbie Dyack did not release the ball in the tackle. So a bit of enterprise there by Ulster, all undone.
Yeah, but it's a bit the same as the first half, Jim. A lot of east-west rugby, not enough north-south rugby, and I'd like to see both sides maybe tactically adjusting now, taking the ball up the middle a bit more runners off the 9 instead of everything going through the 10. And a lot of over and back rugby, but not much advance, you know. So I'd like to see Ulster and Connacht maybe changing as well. A very similar game from both teams with the ball.
First set piece of the second half. Quickly won by Connacht. Carty into a bit of space, well covered by Luke Marshall, who tries to get away from Donaldson and does so. Pinar. Dyack, who gave away the penalty, makes a bit of ground. Little glance by Pinar to see what's available on the far side, but Nick Williams is there to take it on. Trimble in the outside half position. McCluskey gives it. Reedy gets it away to Marshall, who's having something of a purple patch this season, coming back from lots of injuries. Well stolen though by Big Ulton Delan. Connolly had men outside him but decided to take it forward. Good battle at the breakdown, won by Connacht. Carty gets it away to O'Halloran, who's very quick and he's made a decent break. Ni Adio looking, perhaps should have stayed with him a little bit more. Ali Muldowney. Nathan White, better stuff by Connacht. Ronaldson. Healy showed a wee bit of that blistering pace of his. Here they come again, Connacht. Muldowney, nicely moved. There's a chance if they shift this. That's well away. Hint of a forward pass, but play on, says the referee. And Adio Lucan has stopped in his tracks. And that's gone forward. Touch. In fact, it's in touch, and it's an Ulster line-out. Good work by Connacht, but again, very lateral, Eddie.
Yeah, and I suppose the one thing that started out the first half, Ulster quite narrow in defence, and Connacht caused a little bit of problem on the outside challenges. Saw it again there on a couple of occasions. You know, Connacht getting wide with numbers, and Ulster have to play soft and give up the yardage. But they're still not making too many inroads. I think once again, if as they did in the first half, if Ulster readjust their defence, get a bit more width in it, they'll be able to shut Connacht down, because it's very lateral and very wide. Both teams playing very lateral and very wide. You'd like to see more directness, particularly in the middle of the field, and try and straighten up the line a wee bit.
Well, it was a good start by Ulster, and then they gave away the penalty, and Connacht have kept possession, and Ulster find themselves back in their 22, but it is an Ulster line-out. We played about 3.5 minutes in the second half. One other game played today in this Guinness Pro 12, and table toppers Scarlets were beaten by a single point at home by old rivals the Ospreys at Parky Scarlets. It was Scarlets 26, Ospreys 27. Doesn't change things at the top of the table. Scarlets still stay top, with at the moment Connacht in second place, and Ulster have made a change Off goes Andrew Warwick, and on comes his replacement, loose head, Callum Black.
Just hold the space, don't close up anymore now.
Very clean jersey. Well taken in by Ulster at the back of the line out.
Onside. Hold onside now, hold.
Pienaar. Ooh, what a good kick.
It's a good touch. Relieving touch on the base of a ruck. Difficult kick to make on the base of a ruck.
You can't see Eddie O'Sullivan, dear listener and viewer, but he's pulled his little top up and he looks like E.T.
So we've got a nip in the air, Jim.
There is. Well won by Connacht once again at the line out. Connolly to Aki. Good strong work, and Paddy Jackson had a second bite at him. Marmion, Carty, Adeolucan. Strength to go with the pace. Marmion again. Nathan White. Nice little offload by White. Good work at the breakdown by Ulster, but Connacht have got the drive on. The momentum is with the men in green. Connolly ran out of options on the wide outside.
Through the middle.
Rob Herring score in the second half could well be. Adeolucan loses his footing. Marmion does well. Taken on by John Muldoon. Ronaldson goes to scrum half. Carty. Men over if they can shift this. That's a bit on the loopy side. Delan runs into McCluskey, who's as big as most modern second row forwards. Marmion. Carty. Muldowney. Ronaldson. Trying to put Healy through the gap. Still there with Connacht. Bundy Aki. Good continuity by the home side. Big tackle that was by Nick Williams. Referee having a good look at the breakdown, and Ulster may well have got the ball.
This man's line and we tracked. Scrum for the team go forward.
Connacht put in.
Yeah, it's a lot of hard work by Connacht, a lot of endeavour, but not much go forward, Jim, at the end of it. I mean, they play right across the line. I don't know how many phases they played, but really haven't been able to break into the 22. Hard work from Ulster, so maybe if Connacht can hold on to the ball, keep the work rate up, Ulster may crack, but I think Ulster look comfortable in their defensive shape. They're working hard at the moment. They've adjusted again, I think, giving up less space on the outside like they did early in the first half and at the very beginning of the second half. But really, again, good defence by Ulster, and Connacht not really making much inroads.
A wee bit of concern for Ulster's fullback Louis Ludick, who's looking a little bit on the stiff side. He's got a bit of a bang. Coming up to 7 minutes gone in the second half, just the 3 points separating the side. Paddy Jackson's penalty after 32 minutes in the first half. Nick Williams, his last year with Ulster, his fourth and final year off to the Cardiff Blues. Great crowd pleaser, particularly in his first year. Good solid Connacht scrum, also trying to get a bit of a squeeze on.
Use it if you want.
Marmion told to use it. Carty. Ronaldson had to check. Big tackle by Andrew Trimble, but how well did Nye Adeolucan ride that tackle? Marmion. Now Carty. Well tackled by Nick Williams. Marmion again. Ronaldson steps inside. Pienaar had to make the tackle. Tiernan O'Halloran. He's made it well available. Ali Muldowney. Marmion. Nathan White. Well taken by Carty. And Ulster getting the defence well organised. A couple of men drifted out to make the overhead pass impossible. So Connacht decided to go route one. Referees got the hand out for the penalty to Connacht. And this is the right side of the field for a left-footed kicker in Craig Ronaldson, and surely they'll have a go at the post here, Eddie.
sure they will. I mean, they have been able to break Ulster down. They had a couple of little go forwards there when they were more direct, and you'd like to think that if Connacht would adjust, they might have just been more direct with Ulster. But the experience of Pienaar there, knowing that it was a penalty, maybe they're getting a wee bit tired, came around and took away the advantage, and now we've got to kick a goal to kind of stop the game. But I can't imagine this isn't going to end up with a 3-3 situation.
It looked as if Nick Williams wasn't supporting his full weight. The penalty's been given, and Ronaldson, who missed one after 30 minutes of the first half, has a chance to make up for that. Well, he's missed a second, and this was an easier one for him, and looks of disbelief on the faces of the Connacht faithful. So it remains Connacht 0 and Ulster 3. Bad miss.
Bad miss, and a game this tight, Jim, where defence are dominating. Like those opportunities are going to be like hen's teeth. Need to take them if they're going to win this game.
I think Ulster warming up replacement tight head prop Ricky Lutton to give Vian Herbst a bit of a break. Good tackle by Alan O'Connor. Marmion, Connacht still in possession. Ronaldson. Tiernan O'Halloran. All of it on the lateral side, but now they move straight forward. That's good work by O'Halloran. Slight flame, but loads of strength in there. And Ulster have pulled the ball in. Good bit of choke tackling there by Ulster. Craig Reedy in the middle of all that. But the last man up with the ball is Robbie Dyack. So good work by Dyack and by Reedy.
That's good discipline not going in the side there, yeah? Even though it might be held up.
Bundyaki thought twice, I think, about lifting the legs of Stuart McCluskey off the ground.
So, time off. I can't hear you anyway, Dutz.
And Ricky Lutton is coming on.
Sorry again? Go again?
Referee Peter Fitzgibbon's having a little bit of trouble with his communication, so off goes Vian Herbst, starting his 12th game of the season, and on comes Ricky Lutton.
Yeah, Eddie. Yeah, that's good, lads.
For his 36th Ulster cap. Next week Ulster are at home to Munster, a game you can hear with us on BBC Radio Ulster. Big game tomorrow in Thomond Park in Limerick, Munster against Leinster, Eddie.
Yeah, that's going to be a bit of a barnstormer, I expect. Both teams looking for a victory after a disappointing European spell. So it's all bets will be off in Thomond Park tomorrow afternoon.
Well, despite Connacht's loss last week to the Newcastle Falcons away from home, they still top their table in the European Challenge Cup. Ulster have given themselves a decent chance of qualification, albeit probably as a runner-up in their Champions Cup group. Good control at the scrum by Ulster, and they get the penalty. Significant scrum that. Ricky Lutton and Callum Black, the two replacement props, doing a very good job. Quite early to bring two front row changes on, isn't it?
Yeah, but maybe they've been carrying a bit of a knock or something, you know. But yeah, it's a bit early in the day. Usually it's the last 20 minutes, but we're not far off that now, Jim. You know, we're 51 minutes in. The game is whizzing by, even though there hasn't been too much in terms of clean line breaks.
Good strike by Paddy Jackson for Ulster, taking play deep into Connacht's half. Only played one of Ireland's 5 games in the most recent Rugby World Cup, but disappointed at his lack of game time, I'm sure. Callum Black goes over and has a word with his skipper, Rob Herring. Pienaar. Now Jackson. McCluskey. Trying to put Ulster on the front foot, and they do just that. Herring takes it from Pienaar. Ulster just trying a bit of a rumble forward for the first time in this game, and they're still moving forward. Referee's having a good look. Bodies all over the place. Picked up by Callum Black. Lutton in there to help. Nick Williams gets away from Muldowney. Well laid back by Ulster's number 8, Alan O'Connor. Oh, nice switch. Jackson outside to Herring. Had Scholes with him, but Herring went in his own and he's popped it up nicely. Williams back inside, a bit clumsy, but still there for Ulster. It went backward. Always a risk involving those offloads, and Connacht have stolen it. But it was knocked forward by the men in green, and John Muldoon incensed, and he's giving the touch judge on the far side, Dudley Phillips, what we used to call an old-fashioned look, because I think it was Dudley Phillips that actually called that.
I think he was, but I think Ulster were lucky there. They got sloppy with the ball and it went loose. I think Connacht felt it was a clear turnover, but called a knock on for some reason. The breakdown, hard to spot there, Jim. But I guess assistant referee Dudley Phillips was in the best position to call it.
Intention.
Bit of a stoppage in the middle of the park, just inside Connacht's 22. Buziaki getting a little bit of treatment, I think.
I think what we saw there, Jim, was for the first time tonight we saw Ulster go much more direct in their attack. Came off the line out, hit it up, a lot of pick and drive, one-off runners, worked their way in, came back the short side, got a good some yardage, came back in, and it went a bit awry there with a sloppy pass, but that was the first time tonight we've seen them make consistent yardage. A complete change in tactics here, and not probably before time.
Okay, it's a scrum. You ready for a scrum? Time on.
Referee calls time on again. Bundy Aki has got a bit of a strapping on his lower right leg. I can tell you, John Muldoon just trying to fire up his troops again. They've missed a couple of relatively straightforward penalty chances. Ulster have taken the one chance that has come their way, thanks to Paddy Jackson just before half-time. Almost 15 minutes into the second half. Ricky Lutton on the side of the Ulster scrummage against Finlay Beelum. Good straight bit of scrummaging there. That's collapsed by Connacht. Rory Scholes gets through, needs a little bit of help. Good work by Scholes, came in off the wing nicely. Referee's happy with that. Luke Marshall moves it wide. Oh, Trimble couldn't gather. Well, Andrew Trimble looking for a third try in successive games. Well, and couldn't quite make it. That was a genuine Ulster chance there.
It was. The pass dropped out the last second. It was around his bootlaces. And if that set up at all, I think he might have finished it out some of his finishing power, but it just dropped onto his bootlace as it arrived.
Yeah, look, Marshall didn't get enough of the old left hand in that. Another couple of feet off the ground, and Andrew Trimble might have been in. And how significant could that have been? We will not know.
Well, I think a try in this game, Jim, is going to make all the difference if somebody can nick one. That was probably as good a chance as Ulster have had all night. But again, you know, that build-up came from, you know, a very direct approach. Again, we had a very short strike up the middle that broke the gain line, and again, direct play has been the best route at the moment for Ulster. And you get those chances on the outside if you're more direct, but I think up to now, both sides have been very lateral in their game. And for a change, now we've seen Ulster go direct, and it's been good dividends for them.
Roger Wilson has come on for Sean Reedy, which will indicate that Robbie Dyack will probably go to the open side, although Wilson will be happy enough there. Sean O'Brien has come on for Connacht. Likewise, Shane Delahunt has come on for Dave Heffernan. Sean O'Brien, not the Sean O'Brien of Leinster and Ireland.
Maintain that high, head and shoulders up to the ball.
This is the 21, Sean O'Brien. One of a number of Connacht players on this current squad from Galway. Big fellow, 6'4" he is, to play in the back row.
Captain the Irish under-21s, I think, last season or the season before last. I made a big impression at that level.
He is a bit of a lump. Connacht scrummage following the Andrew Trimble knock-on. Coming up the end of the third quarter. Ulster had all stopped now. We'll be very happy. There's only been a score between these two sides in the last couple of meetings. Again, the crowd trying to encourage the men in green. Ulster trying to get the squeeze on in that scrum, but Connacht have dug in nicely. Pienaar trying to make a nuisance of himself. Marmion to Carty. Scholes gathers. Oh, he's done well, Scholes. He's got away from the first man. Inside to Luddick, who couldn't quite control it. And that's been knocked into touch, and it's going to be a Connacht line out. Connacht might have the option, or did it come off a Connacht hand? I think Dudley Phillips on the far side has decided it came off a Connacht hand, and it's going to be an Ulster line out.
Yeah, it was great footwork by Rory Scholes. Got away from his man beautifully, and offloaded inside, but intercepted by Connacht cover defence. Bundyaki, and fumbled it back, rumbled into touch. So Connacht might be a bit aggrieved there. I think it might have come off an Ulster player, but anyway, at the moment it's still pressure on Connacht.
The USA World Cup international A.J. McGinty has come on to play outside half, and another Connacht veteran, Andrew Brown, has come on to play in the second row. So Jack Carty is off, and A.J. McGinty is on. Ulster line out, well taken in by Franco van der Merwe. Connacht being typically disruptive. Nick Williams. Well, that's awful by Ulster. Really is quite dreadful. What a mess they've made of it, and here comes Bundy Aki. Luddick's going to have to be quick. Oh, he's knocking backward. Aki picks it up. Marmion gets it. Back comes Rory Scholes, and Ulster could well have been the architects of their own downfall. Andrew Brown, how do we look outside him? Nobody there. Play on, says the referee. Marmion meant for the corner. Adia looking jumps and catches and gathers, and Connacht on the front foot. Brown, and here is the replacement, Sean O'Brien. Nathan White, what a roar from this Galway crowd. Well taken once again by Andrew Brown, the replacement. Marmion knocked forward. That could well have been a Connacht score, and at the other end it could well have been an Ulster score.
Could have been a big turning point in the game. You know, Ulster, the maul was a bit sloppy, wasn't really going anywhere, but to break away like that without a plan.
Okay, Fitzy.
Peter Fitzgibbon's gone upstairs to the TMO Jude Quinn to check a little something, whether it was something technical. There was the loose ball.
Right back in the 22.
That looked as if it might be a forward pass, but I don't think it's a forward pass. He's checking. Is there something untoward here? Marmion. Well, there's nothing much wrong with that. And this is where Ulster made a real
bit of a dog's dinner of it, Jim, to be honest,
they did.
you know.
They did.
It wasn't a great maul, but I think they should have stayed on the job here. But Jim Williams broke away, and then a loose pass from Ruan Pienaar goes through Rory Scholes' hands, and suddenly they're racing back.
Okay, we have the takeout, Fitzy. I don't have the number, unfortunately.
It's number 13.
Okay.
I'm just looking at it again just to see if it's in.
Well, they're going back upstairs. I'm just looking at the screen aware to our right. There was a hack through there.
Marshall,
and look, Marshall
may have taken out A.J. McGinty.
Taken somebody out when he came across on the Connacht replacement, who's A.J. McGinty, and Marshall is going to the bin for a rather silly infringement. And that's good refereeing, because Peter Fitzgibbon has sent Luke Marshall to the bin, but he said that the advantage from that was over, so they're going to go to the knock on for the knock forward, which should be an Ulster scrum. So Ulster lucky to get away with that.
Well, yeah, they're not out of the woods yet, Jim. Now they've got 10 minutes with 14 men from a position where I think if they'd scored, that was the game over. They now find themselves probably all hands to the pump for the next 10 minutes to try and stay in the game.
So Luke Marshall in the bin. Ulster, as we come to the end of this third quarter here in this tight Irish old-fashioned interprovincial. 3 points between them. Connacht and then Ulster 3. And Connacht will be looking to put in a massive shove. They would still have an advantage in terms of weight. And Ulster will have to clear the lines pretty quickly. Good squeeze by Connacht. Ulster dig in, that's good work. Nick Williams. Ulster got the ball back, but Connacht have kept the pressure on. Good work by Robbie Dyack at the breakdown. Taken on by O'Connor. Pienaar, ball in hand. Oh, what a very good kick by Pienaar. And no time for Matt Healy to take a quick one.
That's a brilliant clearance, right, from pretty much under his own post to get it out to the 10-metre line from the base of the rock. Exactly what Ulster needed, take some pressure off, but there's still a bit of time to go here yet, and they're going to have to be, again, very careful in defence here and work even harder than they have worked up to now. Down to 14 men. I'm sure Connacht are going to keep the ball in hand here, and we're taking through the phases.
Shane Delahunt to throw in. Finlay Beelum leaves the field, and the Irish international, albeit on one occasion, Ronan Loughney comes on.
So, this for you, okay? Let's play time on.
Loughney passes on the line-out call to Shane Delahunt, his hooker. Stolen by Ulster, but it's untidy. Roger Wilson, did he knock that forward? He did. You just get the feeling that the tide has turned in Connacht's favour, Eddie.
Yeah, certainly the crowd are sensing there's a chance here for Connacht. You know, the crowd had gone very quiet, Jim, in the build-up to that turnover, and you really felt Ulster were in control of the game. But, you know, when they got out of jail there, a great line of steal by Ulster, and Roger Wilson knocks it on. They could have cleared their lines again there. There you go, it's a simple fumble, and the pressure's back on Ulster.
You seem to be edging forward and leaning on. Just a little bit of space, please, for me, so we can lock together on the set. Yeah.
Be interesting to see how Ricky Lutton gets on with Irish international Ronan Loughney, the new Connacht loosehead prop. Guns on the Irish Kappa against New Zealand in 2012. I recall the day that Dan Toohey made his debut and scored a try. Down goes the scrum. No offence to Ronan Loughney, Eddie, but he's always been a messy scrummager.
Yeah, and he's fresh off the bench, which often draws attention from the referee. If the scrum's been going well, and suddenly you're fresh on the field and the scrum starts to give a bit of problems, the finger tends to be pointed at the new guy on the block. But it's funny, he asked them to stand a bit wider or further apart there in the build-up to that scrum, and as soon as they did, the scrum went down. So maybe he had them just a bit too far apart.
Still Connacht scrum. Under 18 minutes remaining. Just the 3 points between them. Those 3 points in Ulster's favour. Luke Marshall still in the bin. Kieran Marmion, that's a better scrum. Down it goes. The referee has given a penalty. Ricky Lutton's legs went from under him. And he just said to Ricky Lutton, your feet were too far back, and look at, down goes Lutton under no real pressure whatsoever. And that's must be a chance now for Connacht to square this game.
Well, AJ McGinty's going to step up and take this, and his record's been very good. McGinty, especially with the US in the World Cup, he was very solid in his place kicking.
Now capped 8 times by the United States. Dublin born, went to Blackrock College, but spent a lot of time in the States and qualified through residency. Well, if he nails this one, it will bring the cheer of the evening, I have no doubt. Craig Munnelson has missed twice, either side of half-time. Oh, it's a good kick. A lot of happier Connacht faces. 16 minutes remaining, and thanks to replacement outside half AJ McGinty, the USA Eagle, it's now Connacht 3 and Ulster 3.
Yeah, it's really game on now. I think what Ulster need to do here is get 15 men back on the field, so that means trying to stay in the Connacht half for as long as possible here.
Well, they've only made 4 changes, but this is not the sort of performance that Ulster had hoped to bring here to Galway. bearing in mind what they did against the mighty Toulouse on successive weekends in Europe. Bundy Aki with the kick outside his 22. Well gathered in by Louis Ludoc. Runs straight into a lot of green shirts who drive right over the ball. Stuart McCluskey's in there, so Ulster a little bit short in terms of the midfield, and they take it on through Nick Williams. Pienaar looking, calculating. Van der Merwe driving. Pienaar again, Jackson. Did he see a little bit of space in there behind Niamh Adeolucan? Maybe. Into Tiernan O'Halloran. And that's going to touch for an Ulster line-out. Luke Marshall will be coming back on pretty soon, Eddie.
And Ulster will take that, you know, another line-out in the Connacht half, a chance to run the clock down, slow the game down, and get 15 men back in the field. You see they're taking a huddle here, and I think Peter Fitzgibbon is getting at them again about taking huddles, which runs time off the clock.
Well, when the referee warns you about something, you should heed those warnings. However, they've got the huddle over quickly enough. Pienaar, well gathered. Jackson, McCluskey. Pienaar again, Nick Williams. Hit that at pace, Pienaar. Alan O'Connor across the 10-metre line. Pienaar switches. Williams. Clever stuff by Williams. Pienaar again. Jackson. Oh, that's a good kick by Jackson.
It's great play, exactly what Ulster needed. Play through some phases, pull the wings up, and Jackson steps into the pocket and pings a beautiful kick into the corner. Pins Connacht back inside the 122. The clock is running down. You know, the yellow card is almost over. That's a smart play by Ulster. And very direct again, Jim. No over and back, no east-west rugby. Very direct one-off runners, finding field position.
Connacht's line-out, Shane Delahunt. Started 2 games this season for Connacht. Just 4 men in a little clump just to get this one right, and he does get it right. Nicely taken. Bundy Aki. Marmion inside his 22. That's going to give Ulster the line-up, but Connacht have cleared away from the danger area.
Still all good though for Ulster here, Jim. You know, just the clock is running down. They're taking their time. Damage limitation for the yellow card in a tight game like this is of the utmost importance.
Connacht about to bring on Irish international prop Rodney Ayew. Well taken. Pienaar. Jackson. McCluskey. Well, he's getting no change out of the Connacht midfield. Ulster should be maybe thinking about trying something else. Here comes Williams again. Gets across the 10-metre line. Pienaar. Alan O'Connor. Good tackle by Bundy Aki. Pienaar again. Williams inside to Trimble. Nearly flattened Peter Fitzgibbon, who's made of sturdy stuff. Robbie Dyack. Connacht's defence well marshalled, as you'd expect of Pat Lam. Pienaar thought about the corner. Was it a bit of crossing there by Ulster? Pienaar dithered a bit and he's got himself caught, and Connacht have stolen that. Referee had the hand-out for the penalty against Connacht, but he's playing the advantage to the men in green. Young James Connolly takes it forward for Connacht. And again, the roar here in Galway builds up into a wee bit of space. Ludic waits and gathers, and they'll go back for the penalty.
No advantage. Side entry number 14.
Andrew Trimble penalised for a side entry.
Number 14, wide side entry.
And on comes Rodney Ayew, and Luke Marshall is still off the field, and it's Paul Marshall is actually coming on. So interesting change by Ulster.
Yeah, I think, and we've got an injury here, an Ulster player down. It's a pity there that Rob Pienaar got caught in 2 minds, came back, had a look to see if he could pop it into the corner, but saw the winger was waiting there and held on too long. Got tackled and turned over. He basically most of the team in front of him when he got tackled. And again, momentum has changed again, Jim. Ulster were controlling the game brilliantly with the yellow card, probing the corners, hanging onto the ball, forcing Connacht to kick out. One mistake and suddenly Connacht are on the rise again and on the front foot.
Well, I think it's a long way from the post, so AJ McGinty is going to try to give Connacht a decent position.
I was in the gap, fair enough. No, you maintain possession. Listen to me. Listen, stop arguing and listen. I have to stand somewhere. I'm sorry I was in the gap. You ran into me. You had good possession. We played on. Fair enough? Okay.
Nick Williams are arguing the toss that because Andrew Trimble ran into the referee, it should have been the scrum to Ulster.
He has a point.
I have to stand somewhere. Interesting.
No, but he has a point.
I think he was right.
Because had the referee not been there, I think Andrew Trimble could have been right through the defensive line. And a line break like that at this stage of the game is almost a certain score. So he has a point, and I think the referee should have gone back when things didn't materialise for Ulster, gone back and given the scrum. If Trimble goes through here, boom, I think that's a line break with some of Trimble's power and pace.
Fine margins. Luke Marshall waiting to come back. He may well come back as this line out is about to take place. And that hasn't found touch. That's not so good. Louis Ludick tries to get away and runs into 2 or 3 Connacht defenders. Paul Marshall on the field for Ruan Pinar. That's not a bad kick. It's come in field. Trimble jumps. Oh, well taken by Trimble. Knocked back by Ulster. Marshall does it again. Clever little kick by the replacement scrum half. And the bounce is kind. That's a belter by Paul Marshall.
That was great play by Ulster. Great kick, contestable. Andrew Trimble wanted to spill loose. Ulster regathered, and another kick immediately has pinned Connacht back inside of 22.
Luke Marshall back on the field, so Ulster back to the full complement of 15 players. Delahunt wipes the ball and wipes his brow. Little Connacht confab. Now they come up to the line out. Bit of confusion about the line-out call. Very nearly picked off by Ulster, but well taken in by Andrew Brown at the second attempt. Referee spotted an Ulster knock-on. Marmion into Marshall. Marshall's got a bit of a thump to the eye, I think. Rodney Ayew. Ferocious fend by the former New Zealand Junior World Cup player. Not a great pass. McGinty. Nice step. Very nearly got away. Does get it away to Marmion. Clever play by Marmion, realising there was nobody on his outside. McGinty at scrum half. Ayew at outside half. And inside centre, and indeed and outside centre. Good work by Ulster at the breakdown. Connacht still inside their own half. McGinty. That's a good kick. You wonder which side would be happier if it stays at 3 apiece, Eddie. Connacht, I suspect.
I think so, yeah, but I think I feel at the moment, Connacht feel if they can get one more shot here, they might win the game, because the crowd sense that there's one more score in Connacht if they can find that field position. But again, Ulster defended really well. Gave Connacht no option with the kick out.
Ulster brought on replacement forward Stephen Mulholland for just his second senior cap. Started somewhat surprisingly against the Dragons at number 8. Alan O'Connor has gone off, so either Mulholland will go into the back row and Robbie Dyack will go into the second row, where he's played on a number of times before. Off goes O'Connor. Clock has stopped. We have about 9 minutes remaining. Injury to Paul Marshall. I think he maybe got a thumb and a finger in the eye accidentally, I would hasten to add.
He's trying to tackle Kieran Marmion, who tried to break out of the 22, and I think they went toe-to-toe for a second. But Marshall came out the worst of that one.
Well, it couldn't be more finely balanced. With respect, Dr. Michael Webb, and Paul Marshall seems to be fine. His 159th appearance for Ulster. There's coach Joe Smith looking on, back on the Ulster side. Marshall to Jackson, a wee bit of space. Aki goes back. Luke Marshall has him. Referee telling Marshall to release. Back on the Connacht side. McGinty tries to put a bit of width on it. Well, taken on by Connacht. Ulster have affected the turnover. There's an advantage for the knock-on. Jackson. Now McCluskey. Surely if they give this. Here comes Marshall. Great Connacht tackling. Paul Marshall, Jackson, Roger Wilson. Bit ambitious. Scholes. Good strong run by Scholes. Referee's having a good look at Ulster at the breakdown. Marshall in the narrow side. Jackson. Franco van der Merwe gets into the Connacht half. Marshall. Williams. Good work by Williams. Less than 8 minutes. Jackson has a go himself. Marshall. Dyack. Connacht restricting Ulster. Callum Black, Ulster's replacement, loose head prop. Narrow side stuff by Ulster. Van der Merwe once again.
Stay back, Green.
Marshall and Williams. Well, Connacht reading whatever Ulster are doing pretty well. Marshall. Jackson does nicely. Back inside to Scholes, who's well tackled. Has to release, and he does. Dyack. Ferocious Connacht defending. Marshall decides he has to kick it, and where's it going? Into the hands of Tiernan O'Halloran. Not a bad ploy by Marshall, because O'Halloran, well, he's decided not to kick it himself. He gives it to McGinty, and McGinty finds a decent touch, but it's an Ulster ball. Is this heading for a draw, Eddie?
It's looking all that way, but I think at the moment we're definitely in next score wins territory for both teams. But again, neither side, particularly there, if you watch Ulster, a lot of over and back east-west rugby, no real penetration. Continuity is good, Jim, but not very productive in terms of winning yardage. You've got to feel here that at some stage they need a line break here to win this game, and that applies to Connacht as much as Ulster.
Herring, Van der Merwe, Paul Marshall, Jackson, Trimble. Marshall gets it away. That was Mulholland. Louis Ludock out to Scholes. Chip and chase by Ulster's wing three-quarter. Good covering by Connacht, but Ulster get the line out.
That's a good setup in terms of getting in deep into Connacht territory. Good handling by Ulster, very direct running again, a nice chip and chase, and you got to feel this is it for Ulster. You know, if they don't score here, you got to think Connacht's going to come roaring back and get a shot at it. So it's a crucial time in the game for Ulster. They've had a huddle again. They're retesting Peter Fitzgibbon's patience on this.
Great piece of covering by the Connacht left wing. Matt Healy, who came right across and prevented Rory Scholes doing any more than just chase up. Oh, well taken eventually by Ulster at the back.
Up we get, up we get.
Referee blows the whistle straight away.
Just a pilot, team go forward, let's go. Too many on the floor.
Ulster get the scrummage. John Muldoon getting in the way of everything there.
It's a great take, because you got to think they were going to set up the wall there, but went to ground and it turned into a rock. And unplayable, as they call it now, Jim.
Robbie Dyack's line-out work in the last few games has been pretty exemplary.
Well, that was a world-class take, one-handed, going backwards at a crucial moment in the game. You got to think if that went astray there, would have lifted Connacht.
Into the final 5 minutes of this tight game. Hasn't been much between them in the scrummage. Last time Ricky Litton's legs went from under him, and Ulster were penalised. He needs to keep this one up, and the referees come to this side. On the far side, Connacht go down on one knee.
Okay, yeah. Just a reset, just on the set, the feeder band. Yeah, we come off that ground.
Completely new Connacht front row. Delahunt, Loughney and Ayew replacing Balaam, Heffernan and White. Ulster replaced both props early in the second half. Clock has stopped in under 4 minutes. It's still tootling on again.
It's a big scrum in the match, because no one wants to be penalised here. It's been good and legal, yeah?
Well, Peter Fitzgibbon called it quite correctly. It's a big scrum in the match, he said. I don't want anybody to be penalised.
Certainly putting it up to both front rows.
Set.
Marshall has to get it in. And he does get it in. That's a good Ulster scrum. Nick Williams trying to control. Down it goes. Marshall. Oh, look, Marshall drives for the line. He hasn't quite got there. He needs to release. That's how close Ulster are. They drive. They're over, I think. And the referee has given the try, and it might just be Nick Williams.
I think so, yeah. It was a great strike by Luke Marshall right under the post. Great last-ditch tackling by Connacht, but again, Nick Williams arrives there and gets the all-important touchdown.
Well, the last set piece, perhaps, of this game has produced an Ulster try at long last. Good, strong run there by Luke Marshall, and he set it back, and it was left, and Williams in, and the big fella who's off to Cardiff powered over. And is that going to be the conclusive score of this game? Marshall had to make ground. He did make ground. More than compensated for his sin binning. And Williams, over he goes for his 10th league try. And Paddy Jackson has added the points. And Ulster 7 points to the good. But there's still time for Connacht to come back.
Well, you got to feel Connacht here are going to come roaring back. Their last shot at it. But I mean, again, Ulster just need to control possession here, Jim. And when they kick long and then put up that white wall and back their defence. The defence has been good for the first 78 minutes. You've got to back it for the last 2 minutes.
Ian Porter is coming on for Connacht. And Rory Parata is on as well. Long restart kick. Marshall, who was inside his 22, hasn't found his touch. That's well trapped by O'Halloran, who's made good ground. Connacht have to get a converted try to share the spoils. They'll want a bit more, but they haven't got time. Parata leaves it for Bundy Aki. This is Connolly. Good tackle by Luke Marshall. Ian Porter, formerly of Ulster and Queen's University. That's gone forward, and Ulster have stolen it on the ground. Paul Marshall gets it away. Jackson has a wee glance. How's he struck that? Pretty nicely. All the way back goes Matt Healy into McGinty. Here's O'Halloran with him, and the American runs, and the American is tackled. Referee saying get the hands out of it. Into the final minute of this game, and Ulster where they want to be, right on Connacht's 22. It's a long way from here to the Ulster line, and that's what they have to do. Parata gets it away. Now it's O'Halloran out to the ever-willing John Muldoon. Porter has a little go himself against some of his former colleagues. Ulster trying to hold him off the ground. Connacht must shift this. Once again, Ulster tackling ferociously. Good work by Callum Black. Back on the Connacht side, McGinty gets it away to Bundy Aki. Chipped by Healy. In goes Paul Marshall. There might be a penalty there. Referee's got his flag out. 15 seconds to go, and Ulster have given away a penalty, and this could be another yellow card.
Well, a rather foolish penalty. You know, they got possession back with the grubber kick through. And this was accidental, but he's got the flag out. They're going to have to look at this on the TMO because it's a big decision. But you've got to feel it's a foolish enough concession of a penalty in the circumstances.
So if we just play on without checking, you reckon it's just a penalty?
Yeah, well, they touched as Eddie Hogan O'Connell is pretty happy that it's just a penalty.
Change his line to block the chip through. Okay, it's not a yellow card because you were going to get possession. It's just a penalty. Cut out the discipline. 14 seconds remaining. The referee is telling them there is time for the line out if they go now, but Connacht have a long way to go. They're still going to be inside their own half as McGinty finds his touch. This was the little bit of a blockage. Andrew Trimble went in and then he sort of pulled away at the last minute.
I think they were fortunate to get that one, Jim. There was no real malice in it, and the ball had been kicked away. He was never going to get on the end of that grubber kick. So, but anyway, that being said, Ulster still have to back themselves for the last play of the game.
Ulster told to leave a bigger gap. They have to challenge this one if they possibly can. Well taken by Muldoon. Connacht must run this. Ulster up quickly now into Rodney Ayew in the middle of the park. Stolen away by Paddy Jackson. Can you believe it? An outside half stripping the ball from a prop forward. Paul Marshall to put it into touch. And Ulster have come to Galway and they've won this game. My word, they kept us on tender hooks, and my word, Eddie, they left it very late.
Well, we've said throughout the game, Jim, it was going to be probably a one-score game, and probably the try would win the game for either side. And to be fair, Ulster probably kept the composure, and in a crucial time in the second half they changed their strategy and they went much more direct, and when they were direct they were much more successful, and that led to the try that won the game eventually.
It wasn't the exuberant display from Ulster that we've seen in Europe, but to come here against the Connacht side, who haven't been beaten at home this season, we must remember, is not a bad result.
No, and we said it was always going to be hard to come here and get a result. Connacht's on a good vein of form at the moment, so I think Ulster will take that result very much so. It was a game that was dominated by defences, but they were always going to get one shot at it, and they took it well in the end. And Nick Williams, who had a superb game throughout, it was kind of fitting that he got the score that won the game.
Eddie, thank you very much indeed. Eddie will be up with us in Belfast next week for Ulster's game against Munster, a game that's on BBC Radio Ulster. Half-time it was 3-0 to Ulster. Paddy Jackson's penalty, and right at the end, big Nick Williams got across the line. Jackson converted, Ulster hung on. Final score here in the sports ground in Galway, it's Connacht 3 and Ulster 10.
Jim, Eddie, thank you very much indeed. Connacht beaten for the first time at home this season. Andy Ward, Paddy Wallace, it was all about composure, resilience and patience at the end, wasn't it?
Very much so. You know, we sort of said at the half-time break that I think the team that, you know, kept their composure and stayed true to what they were trying to get at might come away with a win. And thankfully on this occasion it was an Ulster performance. So, you know, the last 15 minutes we actually looked like we got probably the more sort of solidified, as it were, in the whole way we try to play our game. And, you know, the kicks in the back and so forth just put us the man there, kept Connacht under pressure, and they made them pay to get out.
Yeah. Two very strong defensive performances from both teams, but I think Ulster created probably the two try-scoring opportunities. One we let slip through our grasp early in that second half, and we were good enough to take that second opportunity that came our way. Nick Williams going over from 1 metre is going to be very hard to stop, and I think Ulster on that statistic probably deserved to win.
Yeah, the introduction of Paul Marshall really made a difference and helped set up a great score at the end.
Yeah, it did, and you know, Paul probably gets a few opportunities whenever he gets when Ruin's in the team, but you know, they load the centres here. They have two centres running hard, and it's up to Paul to pick the right player, and Luke ran a great line, got across that gain line, and as I say, Nick Williams from...
The interesting part as well is that McCluskey had been ramming the ball up all day, and they just thought, you know, every ball thus far had been going to McCluskey, and you can see that in back play there. You know, they thought it was going to him again, so it was a really well done. But I've got to say, Paul Scholes leading into that really set the thing up, and he had a good game and got us down to that territory, which led to this whole facet of play, which was brilliant.
It just shows when you get some big European games like that, just what kind of impact that has when you come into a tight situation like this one today.
Yeah, very much so. And, you know, those last couple of weeks, you know, they've been tough games, and the style in which Ulster have handled themselves in that tough environment has obviously led them to, you know, to where they are today. And you've got to keep playing for that last couple of minutes. You know, games can be won and lost, and this is a classic example of how games can be won and lost right at the death.
Yeah, I mean, Ulster kept a lot of ball in hand first half, but obviously he switched that tactic to great effect in the second half with the use of the kicking game, Paddy.
They did, and it was very effective. You can see here Paddy Jackson spots the winger up and puts it on a sixpence there. Now that creates not only territory, but it takes Connacht, you know, very far from their line, and they're not going to be able to score tries from there. A great kick from Paul Marshall as he comes on, great challenge from Andrew, and then again, so Paul notices that the wingers come up to try and field that last kick, and there's space in behind, and again it's a 70-metre turnaround from two very accurate kicks.
Yeah, technically, I mean, Paul's been absolutely on the money on both occasions here. He's come in, his first kick allowed Andrew Trimble to get up, make that contest. We won it back, thankfully, and as soon as that happened, he just knew there was a sequence of play. Those guys got tied up, so he had to put it back in again, and he just technically kicked the ball perfectly, so it would roll end to end.
It was always going to be about taking your opportunities, was it? And to be fair, Ulster probably created the better chances second half.
They did. The first coming from a lovely scrum move here. Ruin drags the defender across and drops Rory Scholes underneath. He runs a very good line, very powerful player. Does the right thing by holding on to the ball. We recycle well, and execution lets us down at the most important time. it's a long pass in tough conditions. Andrew probably should have slowed up, let the ball bounce, and he could have accelerated onto it. Instead, he tries to pick it up off his bootlaces, and in those conditions it's going to be very tough, regardless of the size of the man's arms there.
You're quite right in the fact that we've created more opportunities in Connacht, and here we are again. We're straight into it. Scalzi, he's done brilliantly yet again, beaten that first man, created something here, and it's just pressure. Connacht are really struggling to get out of their 22 at this point. We're going down. He's working in a very, very small environment there. Had that ball gone to hand, who knows? But listen, the pressure's there. Connacht are struggling to get out of their 22.
It's great to see Rory Scholes, who doesn't get a lot of game time, with Craig Gilroy being in his position. Whenever Craig's gone down with an injury, he's been able to step up and show some really good performances in the last few weeks.
OK, well, let's hear from the Ulster try scorer, Nick Williams. He's with Gavin Andrews.
Well, Nick, congratulations. How satisfying was it to pick up the win?
Oh, this is a tough place to come away and win. We, as much as Christmas and whatnot, I thought we mentally kept it together, and we knew we physically was going to turn up. It was just a matter of how much ham and turkey we had over the Christmas.
It wasn't a classic. How tough did Connacht make it for you out there?
No,
as your teammates throw things at you?
They're always tough, mate. We knew it was going to be a dog versus dog kind of game. Thankfully, the weather held out. I just want to give full props and full credit to the boys. We were 3-0 for about 65 odd minutes, and then to come away with and try in the last 5 minutes just goes to show the mentality that we've built over the last month or 5 weeks. So I'm really, really chuffed.
Talk us through the try.
The line was there and the ball was there. So look, I'm just happy, mate. It's a team try, it's a team game, and I just really enjoy my time with the boys.
Les Kiss talked before the game about composure. Do you think things have turned around a little bit over the last number of weeks?
Of course, mate. We, with our bestie here, a few boys had to stand up, obviously. Bestie's obviously enjoying the Christmas ham and whatnot, but just right through, the whole squad, man, everyone's just decided to, keep it calm, but play the kind of game that we want to play. And Kissy's brought that kind of controlled chaos, and it seems to be working for us.
Interesting week for you, announcing that you'll be leaving at the end of the year. How was your efforts to prepare for this game with that news?
It's any game, mate. I still got 6 months, in Belfast. I haven't hidden the fact that I love the place, and my girls love the place. So, I'm not gone yet. I've come here to win something, and I want to give it a great crack until I leave. So Cardiff's here, but that's the end of the season. We're not talking about any of that. And my cause is all about Ulster and Belfast and Northern Ireland at the moment.
The big games keep coming. Munster next up.
That's why you play the game, to play the big one. So we're looking forward to that. We're going to celebrate tonight. We'll enjoy it tonight, go back to our families. Maybe have some leftover turkey, and then we'll reassess Munster next week.
Congratulations.
Cheers.
Thanks for your time.
Cheers. Thank you.
Well, Nick Williams looked like he was on fire there, literally, but a big performance tonight from the big New Zealander. Yeah,
yet again, he's actually come into some really good form of late, and he touched on it there the last sort of five weeks to a month or more, and he's been one of the instigators of that in terms of his own individual performance. When Nick Williams is going forward, the rest of the team's going forward. It is as simple as that.
He's off to pastures new, Paddy, but nice to hear him say that he would like to leave Ulster with a bang and win something this season.
Absolutely. He was a neighbour of mine for 3 rears. He's made this place his home. He's reared two daughters here. He'll be disappointed to be moving on, but I have absolutely no doubt he'll be working just as hard to try and come away with some silverware for his time in Ulster, which has been fantastic, full of so many memories as well.
Yeah, one of the key moments in that second half was probably how Ulster weathered the storm when they were down to 14, and that the sin binning, fair enough.
He was lucky he didn't get a red card, I'll be brutally honest with you. I've seen scenarios like this turn very nasty, and he knew what he was about. There's no doubt about it. We're just giving away some silly penalties at this stage. It was a horrible passage of play, to be honest, and there's a little bit of scrambling. But funny, we made the call sitting on the sofa here, as most people probably did in their front rooms. But probably a hint of a forward pass there as well.
Yeah, it was sloppy play from the driven line out. They tried to create some momentum from the backs there, and it obviously goes awry. Luke's come across.
Yeah, you don't take the leg out like that.
He's made an instinctive mistake in the end, and it's cost the team dearly. But as Andy said, it was very cynical. Certainly deserved a yellow.
As we have a look at the Pro 12 table, give us your assessment, your end-of-year assessment of where Ulster are, Andy.
Well, I think they need to be, they're exactly where they wanted to be. They're thereabouts in the top sort of 4 or 5 teams, and, that's where we need to be. We didn't manage to be like that last year, so they've got to maintain it and keep it going. Yeah,
I mean, Ulster took a little dip, but since the introduction of Les Kiss, they have not just steadied the ship, but they've really, really moved on, haven't they?
They have. We were struggling a bit. We didn't have much momentum, and Les has injected a new belief into the side. We were savaged by injuries as well. That doesn't seem to have affected us very much. So, sport is hugely based on momentum. We've created momentum going into the new year. We have some huge games coming up: the derby against Munster, followed by the European match against Connacht. So there's big games week on week, and we just have to maintain that momentum and hopefully get a few of our frontliners back in. But having said that, the guys that have filled in have done an excellent job as well.
Yeah, and Munster next up, first game in 2016. It would be nice to keep that momentum going, wouldn't it, with another big home performance?
Yeah, very much so. And I think we're laying a platform here at the minute, and it's good to see, as Paddy says, lots of young guys coming in, and they don't look out of place. So the continuity within the squad, the strength of the squad is in there, and it's exciting times for Ulster Rugby. Certainly for the next couple of years, I think, if these young guys just keep growing as individuals and as a collective group, as a team, moving forward, I think it's going to be strong.
Yeah, sitting nicely at the top of the Pro 12. Still a bit of work to do if they're going to get out of that European group with some big games ahead.
Absolutely. I mean, it's going to be very tough. We're in a very tough group, but we've given ourselves a chance, which probably, 3 weeks ago seemed like a fairy tale. But back-to-back wins now in the Pro 12, back-to-back wins in the European competition. All seems rosy at the moment, but a huge test against Munster on the 2nd.
Yeah, I suppose, Andy, Ulster have laid down a marker now of what they intend to do in 2016 with a great finish to the year.
Yeah, very much so. The style of rugby in which they're doing as well is a hell of a lot different from what it was near the start of the season. Was thrown about. There's a lot more width on it, which seems to suit the Ulster players. We've got some young, exciting, speedy young players. So it's all good.
OK, Andy, Paddy, thank you very much indeed. Next up for Ulster is, of course, another Inter-Pro in the new year. As we've been saying, they meet Munster in a sellout on January the 2nd. Live commentary for you on Radio Ulster FM and 1341 medium wave. Today was a bruising Boxing Day battle with a very thrilling finish, and Ulster end 2015 with a win. From all of us here, it's bye-bye.